What if everything you thought you knew about Cinderella was a lie? What if she wasn't a helpless girl waiting to be saved, but a cunning strategist playing a long game of power, revenge, and survival? This is the dark truth behind the glass slipper. Before there was Disney, there was darkness. And behind every happily ever after lies a fight to survive. Let's go back to where it all began. A girl, loved by her parents, faces the death of her mother, the marriage of a new wife, and the eventual death of her father. While the stories differ along a few lines, these stories reveal the truth behind our lovable, ever-smiling Cinderella. From the earliest tale in 1634 by Giambattista Basile to Charles Perrault's 1697 tale of the Little Glass Slipper and the all-popular 19th century work of the Grimm brothers, Aschenputtel, these stories weave single threads across the grand tapestry of fate and together build a coherent story filled with darkness, fueled by fear, challenged by hope, and ending in victory. This is the dark truth behind Cinderella. Our story begins in Cinderella's family home, the lofty chateau, a home filled with life, love, and laughter. Cinderella, the only child of her parents, enjoyed her days taking strolls in the sun with her mother. But everything changed when her mother fell ill. As the days went by, Cinderella's mother's health deteriorated. Eventually, she knew her life was coming to an end, so she called Cinderella into her room. Inside, while it was just the two of them, she promised Cinderella that she would always be by her side and grant her happiness. With those words, Cinderella's mother gave up the ghost, leaving Cinderella with her father. But his fate was not much different. Cinderella wept for days unending until her mother's funeral day arrived. After the ceremony, Cinderella did something strange. To remind herself of her mother's promise to always be by her side, Cinderella planted a tree at her mother's graveside. Every day she would go to water the tree and pray beside it. But what she didn't know was that this little gesture would save her life one day. After her mother's death, the house was never the same. Cinderella's father, once a radiant figure of joy and love, slowly turned into a shell of himself. So he married another woman. And like the Disney story goes, she became the thorn in Cinderella's dress. In some versions, Cinderella's father becomes so infatuated with his new wife that he believes her over his daughter, and in others, he succumbs to an illness that claims his life, leaving Cinderella at the mercy of her new stepmother and her new stepsisters, Anastasia and Drizella. At first, Cinderella accepts them with joy. She learned to be homely from her late mom and to treat everyone with love and respect. But she soon learns that this is not the way of the world. Her new stepmother is cruel and mean and slowly demotes her to the status of a maid in her own father's house. The lofty chateau slowly turns into a prison and Cinderella's eyes lose their spark. While she slaves away, her stepsisters are lazy, superficial, and cruel. Between their mean taunts and her stepmother's scolding, Cinderella finds herself drifting into depression and isolation. But one thing keeps her going. Just like Disney, the writers of the old tales used a lot of symbolism to represent the hidden layers of truth they wished to convey. Among these, perhaps none stands out more than the magic tree. In the original tale, Cinderella didn't have a fairy godmother. Instead, she had another symbol of hope, as potent and poignant as her beloved godmother. And it was her tree. The tree planted by her mother's grave, watered by her daily tears and prayers, became something more, something magical. It represented Cinderella's hope, her unshakable faith that, despite the cards handed her by life, she was made for more. This belief was encouraged daily, because two doves always came to sing beautifully on her tree. While we look at the doves as everyday birds, they represent something more to our young, orphaned Cinderella. To Cinderella, the doves were messengers of promise, telling her that nature was still on her side. Then one day, it happened. As Cinderella stared out into the kingdom from high up in her solitary room, she saw people dancing at a ball. This dance of freedom became so ingrained in her memory that it would move her to dare to dream. Watching the ball represented Cinderella's chance at freedom, a chance she could only hope on if she could wish upon a star. But the next part of her story would surprise even her. Hidden in every heart is the desire to be more, to do more, and to achieve greater things. For Cinderella, this dream couldn't be more real. Making a wish at the foot of her magic tree, with her late mother's grave as her only witness, Cinderella dared to dream of the impossible. And, as the story goes, she got her wish. Cinderella found herself transformed into the raiments of a princess and carried to the prince's ball on magical horses. This transformation marked the beginning of a change in her fortunes. Soon, the orphan girl would not be mopping floors. She would be sitting as queen over the kingdom. Her dance with the prince was only the first step in achieving this. But Cinderella had another skill in her repertoire that not many realize: the skill of desire. Running away from the ball wasn't just to obey the instructions from the magic tree. It was a desperate ploy to embed herself in the prince's subconscious mind. With the stage set, Cinderella got ready for her next step. Cinderella returned home, with no one knowing what she had done. She went about her everyday chores without the glitz and glamour that had filled her night. But her mind was already racing, and her opportunity presented itself at the second ball. After everyone had gone, she made her wish again and appeared more beautiful than before in the presence of the prince. Again, she made the prince fall more hopelessly in love with her before running away again. By the third ball, the prince had lost his calm, and he had also lost the game of psychological warfare to Cinderella. She had him right where she wanted, but it was time to hit the nail in the coffin. Our scheming little Disney princess knew that without something to trademark her as his lover, she could lose the prince to any of the girls in the kingdom. And this is where the story gets interesting. Contrary to popular opinion, Cinderella's slippers didn't fall off on their own. Have you ever wondered why slippers that were made to fit perfectly, mysteriously, fell off? What if we told you that the slippers didn't just slip off? Cinderella made it fall. It was the final step in working on the psyche of the prince. With this harmless little act, Cinderella succeeded in making the prince restless about her, while giving him the hope that if he only searched long enough, he could find her. But the story cannot end without remembering the desperation of Cinderella's two stepsisters. You see, Anastasia and Drizella were too lazy to fend for themselves, so their best bet was to marry into luxury and royalty. When they heard that the prince was looking for the owner of the silver slippers, these girls went to desperate lengths to make sure the shoe fit. When Anastasia realized her big toe was stopping the shoe from fitting, she ran to her mother, and on her mother's advice, she cut off her big toe to make the rest of her leg fit it, a detail Disney graciously left out. Like her sister, Drizella's heel was too big for the shoe to fit. But just like her sister, she cut off part of her heel to make the shoe fit. Both girls deceived the prince for a few seconds, but he soon saw past their deception as the blood flowed out from the places where they had desperately maimed themselves. And now it was Cinderella's turn to try. As the prince prepared to leave, Cinderella broke free from the clutches of her stepmother and requested that she be allowed to try the shoe. In one attempt, it fit so perfectly that the prince knew he had found his mystery dancer. Immediately he announced Cinderella as his new queen, and this made her stepfamily even more jealous. But the scheming sisters were not done. They decided to attend Cinderella's wedding ball, hoping to curry one last favor from the benevolent Cinderella. However, the story goes that they never made it inside. As soon as they got to the outskirts of the hall, Cinderella's bird friends attacked the duo and plucked out their eyes, leaving them blind for life. The story of Cinderella goes beyond a tale of happily ever after. It is a journey of overcoming insurmountable odds, acquiring faith, and keeping hope alive in the bleakest circumstances. And as Cinderella rode into the sunset with her beloved prince back home, in her little garden watered with her daily tears, the tree beside her mother's grave finally bore its first fruit. Her mother's promise had been fulfilled.